Your Eminence, Metropolitan Sava, Your Eminence, Metropolitan Jacob, Your Graces, Reverend Clergy, brothers and sisters in Christ. Christ is in our midst.
He is and ever shall be.
Last month, I took a field trip with my class to D.C. to explore the National Gallery of Art. As I looked around at the impressive artwork, I noticed that almost every teenager was on their phone, either just taking pictures to share with friends or looking at a TikTok, instead of taking in all the beauty. The world today relies constantly on screens. We are told to post every good deed for attention, to turn our daily lives into a highlight reel for likes and views, and to act like we have everything completely figured out. Society says to teenagers, discover your own identity, manifest your own success, fix your own problems. This suffocating pressure makes many teens feel the need to change who they are in order to fit into whatever trend is popular this week. They feel completely alone. But thousands of years ago, long before the first phone, a different voice spoke. In the book of Exodus, God gives us an identity that completely resolves this lonely and artificial lifestyle. Exodus 19:6, you shall be to me a royal priesthood and a holy nation. In a world where we parade our lives on social media, yet often feel constantly isolated by our screens, being a part of God's royal priesthood reminds us that we are not meant to face life alone. Instead, we're called to lean on a church community and fear the Lord and serve him in truth with all your heart. 1 Samuel 12:24. Belonging to the royal priesthood as a teenager in 2026 means to be immersed in the life of the church, where we are accepted as children of God, instead of constantly changing to match with our peers. To understand what it means to be a priest, we have to look beyond the most common definition of the word. Father Alexander Schmemann says, the basic definition of a man is that he is the priest. He stands in the center of the world and unifies it in his act of blessing God, of both receiving the world from God and offering it to God. And by filling the world with his Eucharist, he transforms his life, the one that he receives from the world in God, unto communion with him. We were created to thank God for our life and offer it back to him in worship and service. But our culture promotes the opposite. Instead of offering our lives to God, we are told to offer our lives to public display on the internet. Instead of seeking communion with the Creator, we seek attention and engagement from the comment section. Let's be honest, trying to keep up with the world is exhausting. It feels like you always have to be proving yourself to everyone. You have to be the perfect student, the best athlete, or the most beautiful influencer. You have to perform. And the moment you stop performing, you feel like you disappear. When you get tired of this expectation and are looking for something else to strive for, the Benedictine office will come in and save your life. The Benedictine office is an ancient rhythm of repetitive prayer. Since 530 AD, monks have been praying the office at specific times throughout the day and night. When I started practicing it, something shifted inside me. It taught me that real faith is built in the quiet moments when nobody is watching. It's built in the repetition of the prayers and the rhythm of the psalms. From the rising of the sun to its setting, praise the name of the Lord. Psalm 112:3. Faith is built when you wake up, show up, and give your time, mind, and heart to God in secret. Although I often pray with a group at school or church, the goal is to blend in with the group, not to stand out. The Benedictine office doesn't care about an audience. It doesn't care about followers, and there's no comment section in a prayer rule. In Mark 1:35, Jesus sets the perfect example when he went out and departed to a solitary place, and there he prayed. This shows me that I don't need to demonstrate my own success or create my own identity, because my identity is already locked in Christ. Metropolitan Sava emphasizes the significance of the church for teens today. Youth admire the authenticity, dignity, and spirituality they find in orthodoxy. They discover an aesthetic and a moral seriousness that offers them an alternative to the fragmented culture they experience in society. It's easy to feel at peace in a good community when things are going great, like at summer camp or the PLC, You feel the hype when you are surrounded by music, campfires, and your best friends. In those moments, we look around and say, yeah, this is how life should be. We are the holy nation. But camp ends, and truth is, you actually realize how much you need people when everything falls apart. I learned this in a way I never expected. Last summer, I was on my bike at the end of my driveway when a car hit me going 45 miles an hour. When I was at my lowest, at risk of depression, feeling hopeless and sorry for myself, that is exactly when my church community showed up. Not with cameras to post their good deeds for the world to see. They just showed up. They brought meals and my favorite snacks. They sat by my bed, listened to audiobooks, and played brain games. They prayed for me. They literally held me together when everything felt uncertain. This is what the royal priesthood looks like in real life. That is what it means to be part of a holy nation. It's a group of broken people, bound together by the love of Christ, stepping into the mess of each other's lives without expecting any credit. They became priests to me, not by wearing robes, but by their prayers and love. St. Augustine famously wrote that God's creation includes a whole spiritual dimension. There's a spiritual reality happening all around us right now. There are angels and there are demons. There's a battle raging for our hearts, minds, and souls. For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of this dark age. Ephesians 6:12a. And because the world is enchanted, it means the small things we do every single day actually matter. Every conversation you have, every smile you give to someone sitting alone, that impacts you and the other person forever. To help us understand this, we can look at a connection between the Bible and my favorite book, J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings. In Exodus 19:4, right before God calls his people to the royal priesthood, he reminds them how they got to the mountain in the first place. He says, "You saw what I did to the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you to myself." Throughout the story of Middle-earth, whenever things seem completely hopeless, when Frodo and Sam are stranded on a mountain, when the armies of men are surrounded by total darkness, the skies separate. Out of nowhere, the great eagles swoop in with an unexpected rescue. They don't fight the entire war by themselves, but they fly into the darkest places and lift up the broken and helpless. We are called to be like those eagles. We are called to be priests in the ordinary parts of our lives. Being a priest doesn't mean you need a theology degree. It means walking through the hallways of your high school with open eyes, looking for people who are stuck, and offering them real connection. St. Paisios of Mount Athos says, "Those who help in their own way, and humbly entrust themselves to the hands of God, feel the greatest joy in the world. For their life is a constant doxology, for they flutter about eternally like angels, glorifying God day and night. Those, however, who neglect the salvation of their souls and try to find joy and rest in this vain life are continually tortured and entangled in endless worldly machine and live in hell in this life." To quote St. Augustine, "Love others, love God, love others, and do what you will." We do not have to live the way society tells us to live. We do not have to carry the weight of creating our own identity, fixing our own lives, or performing for an online audience. Look at the beauty of a real church community. Look at the peace of the rhythm of prayer. Look to the people who lift you up on their wings when you are broken. This is exactly what our generation is missing. They are drowning under the pressure of having to do it all alone. But Peter reminds us, you are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, his own special people, that you may proclaim the praises of him who called you out of darkness unto his marvelous light. 1 Peter 2:9. The royal priesthood brings true fulfillment, connecting us to the communion of saints, living and dead.